Good morning. It's August 13th, 2024, and I'd like to welcome you to the Klickitat County's regular commissioner meeting for the morning. And we'll start with first I'll tell you that all three are in attendance with Mr. Anderson on Zoom. And we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, nation under God, indivisible, with justice. Thank you. Business agenda.
Madam Chair, I move that we pass the business agenda as presented.
I will second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the commissioner meeting minutes for July 30th, 2024.
I will second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, we're to public comment. So we'll start in the room in a second, but if you're called on, please raise your hand, come forward and let us know who you are. And be sure to turn on your mic up front, make sure it's green. And those online, make sure you raise your hand, and when you're called on, unmute yourself so we can hear you. Okay, so anyone in the room would like to start this morning? Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Clark. Come forward.
All right. Is this thing on? Yeah, I guess it is.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, my name's Bill Clark. I live at 200 3rd Avenue in Dallsport. I'm here on behalf of the Dallsport Murdoch Community Council. This last Thursday night, we had a meeting, and this subject was discussed at some length. I have a document that the Dallsport Water District was awarded the landfill grant for $200,000 on November 6th, 2018, which is signed by Rex Johnston and Dan Gunkel for the approved water treatment system per the water system plan. When the Department of Health found out in 2019 that the airport well was not connected to the Dallsport water system as was approved per the airport business park plan, Dallsport Water District agreed to do a QA/QI on our wells to meet the airport fire flow and bring Cascade fruit packers online. Excuse me. We were told to reapply for the landfill grant money that was agreed upon by Commissioner David Sauter. This was denied by Jim Seisman. To date, there is no approved fire flow to the airport. The fire flow that was approved is 1,500 gallons per minute through a 600-gallon system, and the system right now is designed for 300 gallons per minute. On April 23rd, 2024, Dallsport reapplied again, answered all the questions that Mr. Gunkel required. We got all new estimates. Again, we were told that Mr. Gunkel is refusing to sign off. We were told that $275,000 was given to the PUD for pigging sewer lines. How does the county know which lines need to be cleaned? And, have they cameraed them? How do they know any of this? Most lines are pressure lines and self-cleaning. You jet rod gravity lines. You can't put pressure on them. If you do, you'll force water back up into people's residential lines. And I can tell you, I'm one of them. A number of people in that community have gone out and upped their insurance to cover this kind of thing, because we know there's a problem there. And one of these days, it's going to be a problem. So most people are working on that. The other thing is the question of the lines came up due to the fact that the cherry packers over there is only able to discharge 30 gallons per minute. The excess water right now is being dumped into their holding ponds so that they can avoid these fines, which are $1,000 per day if they go over 30 gallons a minute. Now, why that system was ever designed that way, I don't know in the first place. But anyway, we found out the sewer goes down from the business park to Central
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay, that's fine. And I didn't get through it.
Can I
Enough.
get with you later, Bill, and get some of your documents that I don't have?
I've got it right here if you want.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so online, is anybody available this morning? No raised hands? Thank you, Bill. Seeing no one, I can go back into the room and give online a couple seconds to. Okay, so anyone else in the room like to come forward this morning? Good morning, Mr. Peppel.
Morning. Mark Peppel, Dallasport Water District. Okay. Last week on 8/16 or 8/6/24, you stated that you have presented Dallasport Water with a few options on the water right agreement on record. The 2011 contract, page 7, section 13. This contract cannot be amended. May 15th, 2023, Dan Christopher emailed. He went on record that he backs the contract. November 20th, 2019, the airport board commissioner contacted Ern Bradshaw on moving 46% of the airport well to Dallasport. This is the same language you keep presenting us. February 24th, it was said you had been told not to look into a new agreement that you proposed when myself and Scott Dixon, when we met with you at the Benjamin breakfast. December 8th, 22, Dave Sauter and Dan Christopher went on record. They backed the airport contract and want it to get completed. June 7th, 2023, the attorney you hired to look into the water right agreement for $72,000. He states that it is of critical importance to complete this contract. The district has remitted $33,000 in SDCs, and you have admitted on record connecting 11 services on the backside of a 3-inch meter serving the terminal with no plumbing permits. $72,000 in connection fees. 11/30/22, email was sent back to Dallasport. There are no plumbing permits taken out at the airport. 11/8/22, as the county chair, you were on video trying to block the water right agreement. We just met with the developer last week that wants to bring in 825 homes on the Circle C triangle off Highway 197. This would be over 4 million in sewer connections. This would help with wastewater plant repairs and keep rates down. The county wants to give it to the PUD for $1. There are only 2 options per the water system plan. The number is 5.5.2.3 to move all the water rights to Dallasport Wellfield, not 46%. 54% is dedicated. Our payback is $1,133,905.87.
Thank you. Good timing. I think you're at the end. Good timing. So-
Missed it by 2.
And again, send me your timeline too. I like your timeline. Thank you. Okay, online. Is there anybody on Zoom this morning? Quiet day today. 0088.
Yeah, this is Delmer Eldred, Goldendale.
Good
Boy,
morning.
it sounds to me like you guys really need to get together with those people at Dallasport and start ironing out some of the wrinkles that have been put in that system. And it sounds like to me it's a conspiracy for PUD to take over the Dallasport water system. But anyway, my question is, who pays for the electric charging at the annex there for the electric vehicles? And as I understand, it's 4 hours you get. And then if you unplug it and plug it back in, you can get another 4 hours there. But with the price of electricity going up continually, and it's going to go up more, is that all being charged to citizens? Is that coming out of general fund? Where does that money come from to pay for that charging? Anyway, that's my question for today.
Thank you. We'll get back to you during commissioner comment. In the room, Adrian Bradford. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you. Since I will not be able to speak when you get to resolution number 5, I'll use my time to comment on that. I want to emphasize, first of all, I am very, very, very much in favor of the growth of the airport in Dallasport. It is a key factor in the growth of this county. So my comments are not meant to dissuade, but just to clarify. This resolution is a matter of a grant for the engineering design. See, I attend most of the airport board meetings, but I missed last week, so I'm not really sure. So I'm here to ask, did you, Commissioner Zoller, get into a full discussion of this issue at one of the last meetings of this grant? So that you feel you're fully informed? And was it fully discussed with all of the board members before it is brought to this body? And the interesting thing that we all need to understand is development of the airport is a policy between the county of Klickitat and the city of the Dalles, but the development at the airport gets done by private developers. So we're talking about a grant for expansion, which needs to be a grant, needs to be the expansion, but the question, like, who should be paying for this? Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. Okay, and back online. Raise your hand if you'd like to give comment this morning. Anyone in the room? No? Okay. Everybody's worn out after the weekend, I guess. It's a very quiet morning. Oh, Leo? Yeah, come on up. You were hiding in the back.
Such a wee person.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good
My name's
morning.
Leo Walton, and I reside at 102 Vineyard Road in Dallasport. About 3 months ago, I was here and I told you of sewage spills in Dallasport. I submitted 3 FOIAs in January, and I requested any and all communication between Klickitat Public Works, the permit holder for Dallasport wastewater, and the Department of Ecology regarding 3 different waste spills in Dallasport proper this year. In July, an answer came back that there had been 0 communications between Public Works and Ecology. Okay, the Washington State permit states that self-reporting is required for all spills. Due to the nature of the wastewater, its properties like residue from chemo, meth, fentanyl, bacteria from E. coli, it remains unchecked and undocumented. So if you have a major issue and need assistance and funding based on 0 failures, you would not succeed without self-reporting history. Without documenting this, takes an important tool away from health investigators in case of an outbreak and finding the cause and nature of the issue. I would like all spills to be tested and checked by health officials. I am encouraging all communities to document all spills around and on their community and document time, location, amount, and take pictures.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Online. Got somebody, I saw it moved, but I don't see a hand up. Good morning, Pat Arnold.
Good morning.
We're having a hard time.
Response here to the fire north of Lake.
We're having a hard time hearing you, Pat.
Understanding.
Right at the spot.
Nope, you're breaking up.
Is this any better?
That's better. Nope. You're in and out again. I'm sorry.
Is this any
No,
any better?
try it again. Now you're not breaking up.
All right, I'm just walking. Okay, I'll just stand still here.
Yeah, stand
I
still.
wanted to thank the I wanted to thank the county and emergency services and all for the response, and especially for showing up at the community council meeting last a week ago when the fire kind of took the run towards Trout Lake. I also want to note that I'm really grateful that emergency services took the glitches in the notification system seriously. I knew there were glitches because I had signed up for notices in 3 places and I got a notice only in 1 of the 3 and not on my cell phone. And so I knew from personal experience that there was a glitch, and then other people said they had the same experience. So that appears to have been addressed, but I really would like to request that we run a trial on all the people who signed up in the Trout Lake. I think of us as the Trout Lake School District precinct, but however you do it, run a trial to everybody that says this is a trial, because it's a really good chance to find out for sure if the system is really working in an optimal way. And I think we need to know that. Hopefully we won't need to use it again, but you never know. And so it's a good time to find out and make sure that really it's all working. So that's my request. And again, I really appreciate the speed with which emergency services responded when they found out there was this glitch and took care of it as far as we know, but let's make sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So back in the room. Anyone else? I'm looking at you. Are you going to do it?
Just making sure Dallas is all done. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yes, you can.
Oh, Lord, that's a confusing day, isn't it?
Busy day.
Well, that's for sure.
When
And yeah,
Tuesdays as Mondays just don't work. Yeah.
you got that right.
Yeah.
Andrew Smith, Klickitat County. I'm all for the jail. Keep it with the sheriff's department. I have learned since I've been up at Mount Adams and Mount Rainier, communications is kind of a unique thing. If you own a Jeep, you're supposed to help everybody. Seems to be the ongoing thing. But thank goodness for 911 Communication Center here in Klickitat. I was able to get through to them. So I'll give them heads up on that.
That's good.
Yeah. It's an odd thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks very much and good luck.
A lot going on.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Online? Rebsky?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can.
Hi, this is Robert Brown from Dallasport. I was part of the information gathering committee that started a couple of years back. I'm also a ratepayer for the water department. And what I've learned is that, for one, the airport is not a good neighbor for the water district. If you look at the way things have gone in the water district and the airport, we basically, us ratepayers, have subsidized the airport for many years. The contract from the 2011 era should be honored and completed. And then if you get over to the wastewater side, in the discharge permit, yes, it states, I don't have it up on a computer right now, in the articles that all escapements from the collection system are required to be self-reported. All discrepancies within the plant, equipment failures, equipment problems, are to be reported to the Department of Ecology. All of our searches, it has come to be pretty apparent that the current operator of the plant is not self-reporting. Okay, there was just a spill last winter down on Sunridge. Can't find any issue or find any reports on that. And then also PUD is never at the plant, which has been reported to previously. And currently PUD has lost 3 operators in the last 3 to 4 months. The status of their licensing and the amount of operators for the amount of plants they have is yet again a critical issue. This needs to be resolved completely so that Dallasport can finally even out and go into natural development. And this continuing attack upon the contract between the airport and the water department has to stop. Each time that a proposal has come across to change the contract, it has been at the detriment of the water department. That is why the water department refuses to be involved in changing that contract. The residents of Dallasport are just plain tired of being taken advantage of by the entities, be it PUD, the airport, the county, the city of the Dalles. Enough is enough. Let's honor the contracts and get this handled. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you. So back in the room, anyone else? And back online. I think we've exhausted our room possibly, so we'll give online a couple minutes to see if anybody would like to speak. Seeing no one, I guess maybe we'll move to we'll close public comment and move to commissioner comment. Who would like to start this morning, Mr. Anderson or?
I went first the last 3. I would prefer to not go this.
Okay, Mr. Anderson, do you have things you'd like to?
I'm still working on my notes and responses. If you want to, if I can have a minute or 2.
Sure. And if you don't want to, I'll go. I'm good. I usually go last as chairperson. So I'll talk about Dallasport Water District first, and everyone that commented on it, I'll wrap you all into one comment from me. It is frustrating, and it's frustrating for me as a commissioner. My thoughts going forward are we're at a point where we need to find a cooperative effort where all parties get to the table and we start laying out documents and answering questions to each other. For me, it's been a frustrating battle to go between all the different entities and try to land on a solution. So I'll be thinking about going forward soon for how we get everybody together to get to the bottom of everything. I can tell you as far as the reporting, what I believe might be happening is the PUD manages and runs that. So their relationship for running that facility is with Department of Ecology. So asking us for reports, we probably don't have them. It's probably the PUD that has done those. We could ask the PUD for copies if those have happened. I think I can put that on my list for Public Works to ask for reports. I think it's confusing too to me that I would need an answer for, because we have suspected spills that we haven't got documentation of, but yet we have had an entity ask Department of Ecology to come in and check the quality down there. And they did 2 surprise visits and did extensive reports on it, and it came back clear. They had, Department of Ecology had no complaints about the management of the wastewater treatment plant. And then there's further things there that just from ecology and PUD, it's not showing that we have a problem down there. But like I said, I think we all need to get to the table and we all need to sit there with each other and put an end to everything going back and forth all over the place with everybody's time, come to an end to it. Delmer, the electric charging, I had asked about that, and I believe if I have the right answer for you, is a company that comes in and puts them like at Walmart and everywhere else, and they actually charge on people's credit cards for that. And you make a little trickle amount of money coming in, but not much off of the one charger we have downstairs. But it is kind of promoted as a business type entity, that a franchise that you can get into at all these different places. You're seeing them pop up. The airport, yes, Adrian, we've had extensive conversations at the airport and privately between different entities about the expansion and about the need for that engineering and about that grant. And there's a concoction of ways that grant will be paid back. It's not going to be paid back by the ratepayers. The goal is to get the airport self-sustaining. So that's where they're moving to. So yes, I don't want to lose everything valuable that we worked for years for that build out for that community college program. So I'm hoping that we can hang on to that and build on to that and even do better. Yeah, but we've talked about it. There's nothing going on there. And Pat, Arnold, and Andrew, yeah, thank you for commenting on the fire and the 911 system. They did get on that right away when we found out that nobody had, or several hadn't gotten their emergency notifications for the evacuations. And they did. They took care of it overnight. And I was really impressed that they found the glitch and they were able to fix it. And then the notices went out. And I was there again yesterday, Pat, and we did talk about possibly what it would look like to do a test to see if it's really working in combination with being careful not to scare people or think it's a real alert. So they're working their way through that, Pat, but we're thankful that it has been working, and we're sure that it's going to keep working. So that helped. And that's a very big effort going on up there. I appreciate everybody in Trout Lake and everything that's going on. And I want to commend the community. They were very organized and very interested and very involved and very helpful. All the firefighters are very happy, just thankful for everything the community's been doing for them. So thank you to Trout Lake too. Mr. Anderson, are you ready?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, I'll start with because I think that sets the stage. And Adrian, I'd just like to say, I believe that the committee.
Nope, you're breaking up, Jake. We can't hear you. Nope, you're gone. The Bears. Yeah. Wind. Nope, we can't hear you, Jake. You must have lost. We can see you. I don't know if you're.
Screen's frozen.
Yeah, it looks like you're frozen and we can't hear you. So, Mr. Christopher, would you like to
Do anything
You
about
know,
going before me, Winnie? I'll make up for it. You can have the next month. Where to start? I guess I'll say to the Dallasport folks, it is my full belief, sitting in this chair, in open session and in what's said in executive session, that I am the only person that wants to abide by that contract. I will tell you there is a concerted effort to throw that contract out and renegotiate the contract. regardless of the lip service you're getting. That is the effort that is being pushed to the attorney to move forward with. It's lip service. I don't do lip service. I don't do BS. I tell it like it is, and that's how it is. And unfortunately, my vote doesn't matter because I'm only one of three. With that, I think you can put the pieces of the puzzle together, and you can see the conspiracy of empire building. You can see they don't want you to have that water because there's a lot of money to be made in that water with hookups, both water and sewer. And it would be nice to be able to transfer that to the empire building agency in the county, which is the PUD, and then they can make all that money. That has been the plan for the last decade, and that is currently the plan. And until the voters so choose to make that not the plan anymore, that will continue to be the plan. I may not be here to tell you what's going on behind the scenes, but it will still be the same plan a year from now. With that, that kind of covers everything that you covered. I will correct the record from incorrection. Dell, it was not an outside agency to put in those charging stations. It was your previous Board of County Commissioners, me, Jake, and Dave Sauter, based on state regulation for charging stations. We did install those charging stations, but we did work with an outside agency to operate those charging stations. So as Commissioner Zoller said, there's somebody else that runs the charging stations. They charge the credit cards and we get a small kickback. So she was kind of half correct. But it was the county that put those stations in. And with that, I will be done.
Did Jake check out or?
No, I'm here.
Oh,
I'm
good.
just calling in on my cell phone so that it doesn't cut out.
Perfect. Thank you. Maybe. You're muted, Jake. There.
I'm calling on my cell phone. Give me, but. All right, they're letting me in.
I think you're on. Jake.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I apologize for that. That's how it always works. It cuts out right when I start speaking. Okay. I don't know what you guys heard and didn't hear. Adrian, I believe this board and all previous boards have been very in favor of growth at the Dallasport Airport, just as you are. The county has spent a lot of money investing in Dallasport, both with the water district as well as at the airport. I think some people forget that the Dallasport Water District, a good portion of the system that you currently have, be it the pumping plant as well as the large tank for water, it has been paid for by county funds, not by just the residents of Dallasport. Which leads me to Mr. Clark. The Dallasport District Award, November 6, 2018, was for the connection of the airport well. It was not for the filter system, and that was a hang-up that we had to deal with earlier this year. Sadly, Commissioner Zoller had a crash course in the differences. And it's easy to make that mistake and to understand that. As for Mr. Gunkel refusing to sign off on the, I don't know if that meeting's been had on whether or not for the filters. Madam Zoller is the chair and needs to have those conversations. And if Mr. Gunkel is refusing to sign off, I would direct you to talk to Mr. Gunkel and the airport board because we don't have any control over that, the way the landfill gas dollars are set up. Your statement that there's no approved fire flow at the airport and that it takes 1,500 gallons a minute and you currently have 600 gallons a minute. I believe you can pump 600 gallons a minute But in order to get your 1,500 gallons a minute, that's why the county paid for the increase in the storage capacity, so that you've got that large storage capacity that you can draw down so that you can fight that fire for 2 hours at 1,500 gallons a minute. And I believe there is plenty of water in order to do that. Otherwise, we'd have all sorts of issues with ecology and health by not having adequate fire flow. So we need to look at that. As for the cherry packers over there and the discharge of 30 gallons per minute, what comes off the wastewater system has a pH balance, and it has to be ran at a certain level so that all the microbiology, the processes can work. And that's why the 30 gallons per minute, because the system isn't running at full load, they can only put so much of that cherry water in there at a given time, and that's why it's designed to do that. That holding pond is so that they can, so they don't get these huge swings coming into the system that then the operator could not handle without busting state standards. Mr. Pepple, the $72,000 that you speak about, that's money that the county is paying to work towards finishing off the contract. And we knew there were a lot of issues with it. We know there's been a lot of issues with it because it's not a simple, we paid money or you paid money and you get a water right. High-priced attorneys are involved here in order to get this through the system. And the FAA, it's in the contract, the FAA has to sign off. What we don't want to do is stop development at the airport for the next 20 years because we get a red flag because we've done a gift of public funds to you guys that harms the airport, harms the county, and we're spending county dollars, not the residents of Dallasport are spending that to attempt to do that. Any statements to the contrary are clearly a conspiracy theory that some people want to push, sadly. The other thing to think about is when I talk about there's multiple options, what I mean is that the airport well, as well as both of your wells, are in the same body of water. I have told you guys many times that because it's in the same body of water, what we can do is create an additional point of withdrawal so that you can pump the water that's legally allowed from the airport well, that water right, the paper water right, out of your wells so that you can have physical access to the water today. If we do have 825 homes coming in with the Circle C triangle, well then guess what? The developers can pay to hook up the airport well and pay for the piping and everything else. And then you would have a system where you could pull out of one well or all three wells because it's all the same body of water. That's a process that needs to go through it can go through the Water Conservancy Board, or you can push it straight through, we could push it straight through ecology. That's one way of doing it. And that's so that you can get access to the water. If you need the legal access to the water because the FAA is involved, until this gets worked out by the high price attorneys, we can do a simple lease that would allow you to have access to that water. None of this is rocket science. It just takes sitting down and filling out the paperwork and doing it. But as of right now, I believe that the Dallasport water system currently has 90 connections that are still available. There still can be growth in Dallasport, not 825 homes, but that's a multi-year process. And if that's the case, you need to have a conversation, sit down and work through that. But we can't push the FAA any faster than they're willing to go. We've had as many conversations as we've had with them over multiple years. And I can tell you from my experience, the FAA goes extremely slow, which is why there's other options to get you what you need. It may not be perfect at the moment, but those are the options. Leo, rather than having the county be a middleman on your freedom of information request, I would ask, have you done an FOI, freedom of information, or a public records request when that's local, freedom of information is federal, to the actual PUD on the issue with regards to the waste spills? That is very concerning to me if that hasn't been reported. So I will look into it as well. But I just would always say making the county a third-party intermediary is not always a great idea because things can get lost when you can go straight to the horse's mouth and ask the PUD. Pat, thank you for your kind words towards Jeff King and our emergency management department. It has been a very busy spring and summer, and it was a very busy winter. And I know they're tired, but I know they really appreciate the kind words for all the hard work they're putting in. And to Mr. Christopher,
Are we going to address each other? Do I get rebuttal?
Go ahead, Jake.
thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Christopher, you're speaking about things that have been said in executive session, and of course, I will not state that.
Sir,
but
I
I
did
would
not
say
speak
what
about any specific item that was happened in executive session. Well,
As the floor, you
order
would
is order.
wait to have the floor.
You are so out of order yourself by allowing
Jake.
this statement.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Christopher, you're making innuendos, accusations about other commissioners, about things that have occurred in executive session, which I would clearly state to you is false. There is no conspiracy. I know some people like to be conspiracy theorists. I'm speaking to the Dallasport Water District, and I'm trying to do what I've always tried to do, and that's give them a clear path forward so they can get access to the water. It may not look exactly like how they want it right now, but that's the only option we have until the FAA rules. If the FAA comes back and says that no, it would be a clear gift of public funds, you cannot do that because that water is technically in essence owned by the FAA and the federal government because they have put their dollars into that, then that puts us into the same situation. Everything that I've brought forward with as plans, if the FAA comes forward with that recommendation or that statement, would still put us years ahead of where we're at right now if we just followed through so that they can get access to the water. And that is the whole purpose of what I've been trying to do. I can't speak towards any conspiracies about the PUD or anybody else. I think that's just malarkey. I think that people love to demonize the PUD, but if anything I've ever seen, the PUD does an amazing job restoring our power. They do an amazing job coming in and cleaning up these small districts, sewer districts, water districts that have all fallen on hard times. And I think just demonizing the PUD does nothing, especially in the positions that we're in as leaders in the community. The PUD is a professional organization that has a depth and breadth to provide the services that the residents need, much as the county does. And this demonizing of them has got to stop. And with that, Madam Chair, I would love to hear his rebuttal.
Mr. Christopher.
Well, first off, this conversation should not be even taking place, and I believe it's out of order and against Robert's Rules of Order. But with this board, we have no rules, we have no honesty, we have no truth, we have no facts. That is this board in a nutshell. This board will go down as the laughing stock of county boards for generations. And it isn't just me sitting here that will be known as that. The level of unethical conduct coming out of this board. I will remind everybody in the audience that Commissioner Anderson used to sit on the airport board. He was removed from the airport board for a reason. And that was back in the day when Commissioner Zoller was actually working for the people. And now there is a conspiracy. There is a plan. And I think all of you guys that are close to the system know the plan. So I don't even need to speak to the plan. Yes, we have an attorney working on it, but is that attorney working to uphold the plan? Or is that attorney working to revalue the water rights so the whole plan gets thrown away and it gets called a gift? Question. Now, I'm not discussing anything that happened in executive session. I'm just telling you that I know what happens in executive session. So You can either take my word for what's going on, or you can listen to the lip service double speaking that's coming out of a couple of politicians. And with that, excuse me, it's still my floor until I
I don't think we're going to make this a platform on and on and on, Dan, with the same issue. I think
You
we-
started the platform by
your
allowing
case.
Commissioner Anderson to make a
And we
personal
state-
attack on me.
No, it wasn't a personal attack
Yes,
on
it
you.
was.
He was speaking to Dallasport.
Yeah, well,
So-
you two can continue your, we will have
So-
future discussions about racketeering, conflict of interest voting. We'll go through all of that as we go through the next couple of months. Keep your ears open.
So I will end this session. I can't speak to anybody else, but I can speak to myself. I can speak to the fact that Robert's Rules of Order also contain a very high regard for not disparaging your seatmate, and we seem to break that every week, and it gets a little tiring. I will move on from that and say that I commit to Dallasport what I committed to. This has been a lengthy, unnecessary process, and we need to get everybody at the table with truth, stop the innuendos, stop the labeling, stop the conspiracy theories, and get all the facts, all the documents on the table and do real work, not just throw mud at each other. And I'll be reaching out to all the players and see what we can do about that. So moving on. Let's see, consent agenda. Jake, would you entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, or does anyone have changes to the consent agenda?
Item number 8 is going to need to be pulled for me. That is another Swissler contract amendment that I cannot vote on, but I will make a motion that we approve the consent agenda with 10 items, pulling number 8 to be voted on separately.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, motion passes. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, payroll.
Madam Chair, I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda, item number 8, which is Amendment 9 to the WIRA 31 Water Implementation Service Agreement.
Okay, motion and I'll step down in second. Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I do want to go on record stating the reason I'm voting no is I don't believe the citizens of Klickitat County are very interested in building a dam in Benton County with taxpayer resources, so I'm a no.
And I just want clarification. I believe we'd already talked about this item in other sessions. And we also had a presentation, I believe, about this one before we decided to move forward with it. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Those opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes. Thank you. Payroll warrant and certification.
Madam Chair, I move that we pay the accounts payable warrants in the amount of $24,475.20. Boy, that seems like a low number. And payroll benefit warrants in the amount of $897,459.12 for the date ending August 12th, 2024.
I will second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Other than I think somebody left
Oh.
half a box of bills to the side or something, because that is an insanely low number.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Commissioner reports. Anybody have anything else for the good of the order? No? Just that I did attend the public meeting for the Trout Lake fire that's going on. It was a great meeting. The room was packed. It was so full that we ended up having to go out into the parking lot to get out of the heat in the room. They tried to cool it off. I think well over 100 people there interested in what was happening. The fire teams are doing a great job handling everything. It's just amazing. And just seeing the effort with the incident teams coming in and taking over the information they're giving the community, keeping them updated and informed is helping with the community. And just the spirit of cooperation that's going on up there is great. And I know we have a couple of fire chiefs in the room, and I have to tell you, after everything going on in this county in the past month, I have a new respect for fire chiefs. They're some of my people, Will in Trout Lake, that are calm, they're cool, they have their facts, they get to the point, and they get the job done. And I really appreciate it. I appreciate them, and I appreciate everybody working for them. So we'll keep our eye on that fire in Trout Lake. So that's my report for the week. So 9:30, we're a little bit behind. I'm sorry. Thank you for waiting. Bickleton Fire Department update on the Bighorn Fire with Chief Jensen. You can come forward too if you'd like, or no. Nobody likes to do it.
Nobody wants to be in the hot seat.
No.
Thank you for the opportunity. Chief John Jensen, Bickleton Fire. I wasn't at the meeting last week, and I wanted to make some comments on the meeting, and I wanted to give you an update on. There were some questions on the start of the fire, and I did a little research. We believe it to be a lightning strike. There was talk about the solar farm. The fire started approximately half a mile north of the solar farm. There was no wind towers involved. It was DNR, or the BLM, gave us a lightning map that showed where the strike was. So, and I wanted to publicly thank the districts that came to Bickleton. I believe we had trucks from every district in our county, which is fantastic. And you know, it's second time we've done this in the last 2 years, so hopefully next year we don't do it again.
Yeah, please stop.
Yeah.
I know you like attention, but we don't need that much attention out there.
Want to thank Jeff King for helping us. He does a fantastic job. There's a lot on his plate, and you know, he's always there. He's willing to come over and just put out a great effort. The dispatch, you know, those people are incredible. They to do what they do when we have something like this going on, and to run the rest of the county is really amazing. And you know, and the sheriff's office, you know, they did a fantastic job. So anyway, just wanted to talk about that. But the reason I'm here today is because of Commissioner Christopher's comment about the money that he wanted to give Bickleton last year from the Bickleton fire. And I wanted to clarify some things, because, you know, his comment was, when someone shows up to hand you resources or money and you don't want them, that's what you don't know. Well, I'm going to tell you also what you don't know, and what I told him in this conversation last winter when he called me. I don't remember if it was January or December. He called up and said that, you know, first of all, he says, I feel like if we had more fire trucks on scene, we could have stopped the Newell Road fire. And I told him that's not true. When I got on scene in that fire, I already had one truck there. The fire was approximately 400 to 500 acres. It was burning up White Creek and going around the other side of Newell Road towards the river. There was 2 fire fronts, and that fire was probably pushed by 25 to 30 mile an hour winds. We weren't gonna, if we had the whole county there, we weren't gonna stop that fire. And so in his conversation with him, says you need more trucks, you need more equipment, we need more resources. And I told him, I says, you know, that's great, I appreciate that, but Bickleton's department is fairly healthy financially. You know, we before Wind Project came in, our budget was about $30,000 a year. This year, our budget's about $200,000. And so we have been able to do some things that help our district out, and purchase equipment, and move forward with some projects. And you know, we're very aware of taxpayer money. I don't want to spend more money than they've given us, and we want to take care of the money that they've given us. And our commissioners are on board with that. We talk about that a lot. We don't go after grants from the DNR. There's a lot of money available. We don't feel that we want to take that money away from smaller districts or districts that don't have as much money. We feel that being responsible is to use the dollars that they've given us to be able to do this. And I explained that to Dan, and then he stated that I explained to him and he told me that the money was tagged for Bickleton. And because I told him, I said, you want to give it to a district who needs money? Give it to Alderdale. They're the ones who need the money. And he says, well, I can't, because that money is tagged for Bickleton because you're the ones that had the fire. to give you a little bit about our district, resources available. If I had a fire today and I had to put every piece of equipment on a fire, I have 14 pieces of equipment to put on a fire. To run that equipment properly, where we have 2 people on a brush truck, the tenders each take one person, my command rig takes 1 person, I need 23 people. I can count on my best day is 20 people. So if I were to take $500,000 and go out and buy 5 fire trucks, put them in my hall, which I don't have room for, they're all going to sit there because we don't have the ability to use them. And in the conversation that he's also stated, well, build some trucks and put them out in the districts. We do. We had our words were put it at old Mr. Hinkle's farm. Well, they're not Hinkle's, but we have a truck at Powers's, we have a truck at Roberts's, and we have a truck at Whitmore's. Those trucks are out there and ready to go. They're in the corners of our district that's further away from the town. So we have a quick response vehicle there. That donate a truck to Alderdale. Well, I don't think taxpayer money is used for us to build a truck and then donate it to somebody else. I don't think that's, and I might be wrong, but I don't think that's proper. Buy a dozer and put it in the back lot. Well, Dan, if you had to come over to our fire this year, you would have seen that we have a dozer. We purchased it this winter from Rural 7. We have a dozer, a lowboy, and a truck. And that's there. And we used it a lot this year. It's in our back lot. The other thing we did is we put in a pad to load helicopters, to be able to load at our station. Bickleton's in an area where we don't have a lot of water around. So we're able to load helicopters there. We use it on the Newell fire. We used it at the Bighorn fire, but it was a little bit too far away from that, but we still used it. And it's set up that if the PUD comes in and says we can't use any more water, I can hook a tender up to it, the same water system, just switch the hoses over and we can load it by a tender. So that's about our district. So if I were to take that money and just put it in the bank and just sit on it, what good does that money do? And in your conversation with me, you said that money is only for Bickleton, but last week, your exact words were, if Bickleton's not going to take it, then somebody else will, probably Seattle. My question to you is, if that money is still available, why don't you give it to Alderdale? Alderdale, in our end of the county, is the only district that doesn't have a revenue stream like Roosevelt and Bickleton. Roosevelt's got the landfill, they have the train. I don't know what their budget is, but I know what our budget is. We have a lot of income, and it's probably going to go up with the solar farm. So if that money is still available, Alderdale's a good place to put it.
I don't know if that money is still available. That was federal appropriation through Cantwell's office. That they wanted to put in Bickleton. They could get the votes passed to put it through in Bickleton. And that was per our discussion when you said, well, Alderdale needs the help. And I'm talking to the senator's office, and they're looking at Bickleton. And ideally, they'd like to do something with the phone system in Bickleton that's failing, but that's future legislation. They had money at that time. I don't know if they still do. That was a year ago. They might have money at this time to give to Alderdale because Alderdale's the hot topic. It just burned.
Right.
So there is potential for some reaching out to the senator's office to see if there's money in this year's appropriation for Alderdale. It wasn't there last year. Last year was only what projects can we do for Bickleton that were related to the fire. And that was federal money from Cantwell's office, trying to see what they can do to, I don't know, buy hearts and minds. And I was trying to reach out to you to see if there was anything the Bickleton community could use. Every time I talked to people, it was all about landlines and cell phones. So we worked through potentially making sure that in the future, when they give out these telecommunications grants, that they start focusing on last mile communities instead of, 3,000 population communities. But that wasn't money. That was just something they can change in future legislation. But money needed to be fire related, needed to be in the Bickleton area, not the Roosevelt area, not the Alderdale area. And that's why I said, can you take the truck and then donate one of yours to Alderdale? And so that's where that came about.
But your statement last week is Bickleton's not going to take it. It's going to go somewhere.
That money last year did not go to Bickleton. So Cantwell gave it to somebody else. I don't know who she gave it to, but it probably went to Seattle.
In our conversation, why didn't you fight for Alderdale? They're in your district.
I did fight for Alderdale in my conversations with Senator Cantwell's office, but they needed
That last week.
Alderdale five. They needed,
So, and my other question for you is, you made a statement, and I believe that was directed at me. It says you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And I'd like you to explain that to me.
I would say I don't know that I was directed to you. That's directed to a lot of things.
Well, please explain what you mean about that.
I've tried to get you guys money for the fire truck. I went to the Parks and Rec District with a $50,000 offer that they refused. I tried to get a community development grant to rebuild ballparks and the Oconee Park, and gave that to the city, and that's where it died almost a year now. Sometimes people don't want help. And if you don't want help, don't ask for help. But this conversation came alive because the people in this room were saying you needed more resources. And I said, according to you, you don't need more resources.
I need more people. But there are districts out there who do need more resources.
Don't disagree. I'm just saying Senator Cantwell had money for Bickleton and was not looking at Alderdale. I relayed every piece of our phone call to Cantwell's office in Alderdale, but Alderdale was not touched by the fire last year.
Alderdale's touched by this fire, and Roosevelt.
It is.
And my other question to you, Commissioner Zoller, was at our community meeting. And we appreciate that. And she's had correspondence. Where were you?
I was trying to not break the law like Commissioner Zoller did last year. Only one commissioner can be present at a public meeting with, well, she has troubles with the Open Public Meeting Act. Last year's fire, even though we declared it an emergency, you cannot have two commissioners there talking about county business, which is why I eventually went home, because she would not.
That's incorrect.
I was not out at the fire this year because it would be a violation of open public meeting laws.
Okay. That's your district. And we had the fire lasted a week. So you had plenty of opportunity to come over and visit us. So just wanted to state that. So, and you did mention communication is a problem, and it is a problem. I know that Jeff King's aware of that, and there, as far as not so much cell phone as radio communications out there.
So I've worked with DNR to try to get local portable radio communication or phone communication for the general public. They have it for fire command, but they don't have it for the general public. So I did work on that last year with Franz to see if they can get a mobile unit that they can put in communities like yours, so you can at least get 911 service when something like that happens. But
and the other thing is one of the things I told you that we could really use over there is our roads.
We've spent $14 million in roads in Bickleton and Roosevelt in the last 3 years, which is more than you've gotten for 20 years.
Was on a road that it needed the work, and we do appreciate that. But our gravel roads, there hasn't been a grader running over there in 2 months. You know, and I know that's not your deal, but it's after that fire that you could go drive on those roads. They're terrible. You want to help. We have 3 people that work in our end of the county, and probably more gravel roads than any place in the county.
And you will find me being a proponent to getting our tax dollars spent on District 3 instead of white salmon. I'm well aware of the roads, and I'm well aware of fighting to maintain that we get a fair share of the road resources, because they continuously go over there. And again, you've gotten 14 million in the last 3 years, which is more than this whole district has got.
And we appreciate that.
And I took Centerville roads and pushed them off, which is my community, to make sure we got that road worked on. And you got another project coming out there next year.
I just want to say, I'm limited on time. So, we've done all this in our district. We put a new dozer in, we're upgrading our trucks. A lot of times we're sending trucks out with one guy because we don't have the people. We put a monitor on front of them. We've done all this work on these trucks, and we have not asked the taxpayers for $1 more. We do this in our own budget. We try to stay in that budget. We have a contingency fund that if we have something catastrophic happen, we're able to take care of that. Again, I'll just say our problem isn't a money problem. I don't have enough people. So more trucks it'd be nice to have a brand new shiny fire truck, but that doesn't help. We need better roads. And that's basically why I'm here, to talk about what you said last. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Can I ask some questions?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Chief Jensen, thank you so much for coming and speaking to us and addressing your concerns. I would ask that you stick around for a little bit. We've got Public Works I can see him texting in the back, so we should have some answers with regards to the roads. And I also wanted to ask, so it seems to me, based on what you said, that you guys have had a change of fortune in the last 20 years. Where would you be if it were not for the green energy projects and the dollars that have come in terms of fighting the last year's fire and this year's fire? How much has that changed where you guys have come as a district?
I would say it'd be day and night. I mean, you look at our budget, Chief Wilson, when I took over, he was constantly going after grant money, DNR grant money, doing stuff that, waiting to get equipment, and most of our equipment came from the DNR, which is free. It's surplus equipment, and we do have some of that still online. But the tax dollars have really helped us, and we built our fire hall. We've done all this, and through that tax dollar, the first thing we purchased was a new ambulance, and we do a lot of money for our EMS, and we feel that that's probably the most important thing we can do. Life is our biggest thing. And we put a lot of money into our EMS budget, and we have 5 EMTs, and they're top notch. I would put them up against anybody, and we do a lot of training with that money, and it's well used. And I'm going to admit right here, when the windmills first came in, I was absolutely against it. They've become a part of us. You look at them out there; they're part of our skyline now, and they do create a lot of money. And I'm also on the school board, and it's helped our school too. So anyway, to answer your question.
Thank you, Chief. And thank you for all your continued service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Since we're talking about it, with the fire, the important people reach out to the chair. Has Kent Will's office called you about
Yes.
the Newell Road fire? Did you talk to them? Did they offer any support for Alderdale or anything else?
Yeah.
We haven't got an update.
They've been communicating. I haven't got anything substantial of what they're working on, but they've been communicating with Jeff King, and also Rochelle, who works her office, did reach out. They're incredibly busy. I think they have 5 fires in their own Yakima district that they're making choices. Which one do we go to? Which one are we supporting? Which one are we
Right, that's
looking at?
DNR. Is Cantwell offering any kind of aid or service
Exactly
or
like I
future
said,
budget?
they're working through all the fires that are going. The Trout Lake fire even is so big that some of the firefighters that came in yesterday were from Maine, and we're having to take resources we can get. And we've heard if the other fires blow up that are further north, they may take some of the resources we've got. So everybody's scrambling right now. But yes, they've been in contact, and yes, they're working on it. When I have something substantial to report, I would bring it to you. That's in stone, but I don't have anything right now. But everybody is working as hard and as fast as they can with all the fires that we have in our state, and they can't keep up.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
So one thing that keeps getting brought up is that it's almost like Cantwell has a slush fund that they can dip into to give monies. And that's not usually at all how the federal government works. We spent 30 years making sure that pork barrel spending and politicians have direct access to funds. Everything goes through grant processes or through the agencies, whether it's FEMA or Department of Interior, but there's entire processes in order to get those dollars out. About the only time that the legislators have that they can just direct funds to something is what we continue to apply for, that the Board of County Commissioners gets together and we talk with our agencies, and that's the discretionary spending. That's in essence, what used to be the earmark programs back in the day. That's about the only thing that the legislators have that they can just draw on, that they can spend. Everything else is, when you're talking to the local reps or anything, it's give us your list and we'll go try to find some, but it's never a guarantee. Because they have to go and write letters of support like we do on all of our grant projects. There's just not, free money that's given out.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. But like I said, as soon as I hear back and anything gets set in stone and stuff is moving, I'd certainly bring a report to the county commissioners. One thing I do have to ask for, Mr. Christopher, is during an emergency, it's my understanding that all three commissioners can be in one place at one time when we have a declared emergency, and we can spend our time with our communities and help them, and we can all three be in the same place during an emergency. And if you have a
That is
different,
incorrect.
well, would you please bring that forward next week in paper form, like RCW or whatever you need?
I
so that
can't get a legal opinion out of the prosecutor's office, but I would like if the chair would ask that question. We can write it down. We can work on it this afternoon to ask the specific question. It can be turned in
There's
for
other
legal review
places
by
to
the
get that.
chair,
But
and we can
how
get
do you
an answer.
understand that then if you don't have that in your?
Because that was the advice I got from the prosecutor 2 years ago.
Okay.
So I would like to see if we can get that answer in writing.
And whatever you have, please bring it back with you
I
too.
have what I
Okay.
was told by the prosecutor.
Okay, so we're late again. Jeff Hunter in the back saying, come on. Okay, our Public Works Department, Jeff Hunter and County Engineer Seth Scarola. Thank you.
Exit.
Oh, yay.
Good morning.
Good morning. I heard the consent agenda was passed. Thank you. Item 11 was very critical to us. We worked with Elisa to get it on. It's to get reimbursement for something we've already done. We were asked to provide fuel for the fire, which we did to the Washington State Patrol. Why it's them, I don't know, but
I'm very happy that you did that without permission, knowing that you would have the full support of the board, and didn't wait for permission. So thank you for taking the initiative on that. Just wanted to pass that on.
yes, but yes, you're welcome. So with that, we will dive right into construction and road design.
All right, on construction, the Bickleton area paving, we just have a few minor punch list items to complete, and that project will be completely finished. Sundale Highway 8 contractor is continuing its work with excavations, embankments, culvert installations, and placing base rock. And on that, for a heads up for next week, there'll be a notice for signature to extend that road closure an additional 13 days. So that'll be through September 13th. Currently, I believe it's August 31st. Right?
Yes, this is a cost savings for us by doing this. We're still providing local traffic access, but it is a cost savings because if not, we pay flaggers the whole time. And so now you're paying for a pilot car and you're paying for flaggers. So this is cost saving, and it allows the contractor to get done faster because then they're not holding up their stuff to let a bunch of people through that want to look at the project, not just actually use the road. Continue.
Okay. And all right, on the design end of things, we're still working through the design on Sunnyside Road overlay, getting close to a first draft review. Bridge repair bundles, consultants working on the rest of the environmental processes and setting the base work for those designs. Bickleton overlay, Box Springs vicinity, the funding paperwork should be before the board, either this next cycle or the next board cycle. White plastic edge lines, the first draft is being reviewed internally. Curb warning signs, staff still doing field measurements and estimates, and the road safety plan update. Hopefully we have the final okay with the draft advertisement and RFQ this week, and we can get out the ad shortly. That's my update, Jeff.
Okay. On the east end for maintenance, we're grading, ditching, kind of general cleanup this week because we have people that attend the fair. So that is the big event for us. It is the fair. West end, we're patching roads in the Snowden area. On the facility side, we get the final today for the sale barn. It is complete. Superior Court, we actually have finalized our schedule. Countertops will be done August 26th through the 28th. Floor covering will be installed September 13th through the 15th. And the doors and trim will be placed September 30th through October 4th. As I said, this week is the fair. That is the big thing. Our guys are busy up there. Jail vent upgrade will start tomorrow. Beer garden bleacher structure is complete. We are working on the trim. Not all the trim will probably get placed, but the facility is usable. It is structurally safe. You know, you're looking at stuff like the backside, the corner piece might not be up there, but it'll have no effect on how the building operates. Other issues, the only thing we have is we want to, I know there's been a lot of talk about fire. We've played kind of a behind the scenes role. We also provided our light plants and rented light plants. We are charging that directly to the sheriff. I need to tell Carmen that because I can't pay for that through road. That could become an audit finding. But we are providing, we lent them our light plants, those we won't charge out because it's just to them so they would have, because you need to have lights when you have people manning closures. So yes, if there's any money, please keep us in mind. Seth has been working. There is a potential that we can get money through WashDOT, through federal highways for the Bickleton fire to pay for all our guardrail that got burned up. We're hoping between that and the insurance, but we're going to try the federal highways solution first. Because one, it doesn't go against our insurance rating, and two, if they pay for it, it'll be 100%. Insurance pays for it. We're at least a $10,000 deductible, and it depends on how they break it out. So that's where we kind of stand with the fire. Anything else that we're missing? Thanks. Yeah, I think that's it for us.
And I'm going to make a request as one commissioner, knowing that I may or may not have board support. When we go through the budget this year and you provide your capital improvement plan, can you at least make sure that there is data for discussion on fans in the bleachers for circulation and a bottled water refill station?
Okay.
And costs for both of those if they wanted to be included into the capital plan, because I'll be discussing them and it would be nice to be knowledgeable.
Okay.
About discussing them.
We've heard a lot about the big ass fans.
The what?
The big ass fans.
Oh, okay.
That's the actual name of it. They're in the new building.
Okay.
They're gigantic.
Okay.
They can really move some air. I don't know that we want those in the bleachers. We could actually blow the people out maybe, but
circulation would be nice.
okay.
I mean, reality misters or portable misters would be nice, but I'll stick with fans and water refill station.
Okay.
On my list of agenda items for that place.
Okay, good deal. We're always looking for things.
And thank you for behind the scenes fire. There's so many people that are helping. Sheriff, dispatch, everybody that I didn't mention. Jonah Ministries providing food, cooking. It just, the list just goes on and on.
Yes,
So,
our guys are, respond to calls, bring stuff out.
everybody's appreciated. And I did the
Everybody's
light
pitching.
stands when I was out there.
Did you?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they were thankful for them.
Yes, they were.
How many public works people do we have on the east end?
In Bickleton?
What's our org chart out there? Yeah.
Oh, boy. Off the top of my head, I want to say there's 4.
I was thinking 5, but
I believe we still have an opening. Plus, we have one of our guys down who is out and has been out for a while and will be out for a little while longer. I will check. We will also bring in the grading report for the year. So we'll bring in, I'll know how many people. We'll also bring in the grading report. But you are correct. We do spend a lot of money out there. Like this year, we are working on another section of Bickleton Highway in anticipation of a paver. And we only have so many people. And to keep those costs down, and those are the work that the crew is doing is not any grant money. That's money we get from the board, from the landfill to do that piece. So we're going to do some widening out there in anticipation of our federal grant next, which will start next year for the paving. But we just keep costs down. We use our own crew. So they can't just do a bunch of work on the gravel roads and do that too at the same time. We've done that the last couple of years.
Do you know the org chart number of the white salmon shop?
I don't. Remember, there's a white salmon shop, there's a Bickleton shop, there's a Glenwood shop, and there's a Goldendale shop.
Most people are here. I was just curious how many are housed at each of our little hubs.
I will let you know. I don't know off the top of my head. I want to say it's 7 and 9. 9 in Goldendale, 7 in White Salmon, 3 in Glenwood, 4 in Bickleton, I think, but I'm not positive. Don't quote me on that. I will let you know. Please keep in mind, we are not fully staffed. We have not been. We're just like all the other counties. We can't find people.
One of the items that I have been amiss about, and I apologize, is over a year ago, I heard about some grading issues because of ambulances. And then I reheard them again this year. So that I should have rechecked, but if you could get with Chief Jensen and them and talk about some of those crucial roads for public safety, access for ambulances, fire, I think those should be a priority.
We do grade the roads. Please keep in mind, once the city moves in, those roads get torn up very quickly. And we just can't keep up. It's just not possible for us to keep up during a fire event.
Right.
You know, there's so many people that are there. And then we have to go back and fix some of the damage that happens. Again, we understand they got things to do. We're fine with that. We'll be there to support them.
Yeah.
But there's only so much we can do. Also.
Right.
Me and Jeff have had multiple conversations about those roads and the solar projects and the speed of the roads and ambulance travel. And I'm sure he would back me up that we've talked about it multiple times and he's doing what he can. And so I will support him when he says he's doing what he can with his 4 or 5 people.
And Jeff and I talked to you, but
yes,
we'll talk more.
I mean, again, if we could talk about this in budget, there is ways to do this, but it costs a lot of money. And that would mean we would move a concerted effort from Goldendale over to Bickleton. But there's a very large cost that comes with that, because then you also run the risk of you move those people over, something happens here. Now we got to move everybody back.
Well, it's to me, I
not that we're moving them, but we move equipment and everything.
I don't know if the board ever has. I'm sure Public Works does because you guys know what the hell you're doing. But I don't know that the board has ever done an analysis on how many employees are at each shop based on the square miles of roads that they're supposed to maintain. So, you know, if one community has 1,000 miles of roads and another community has 9,000 miles of roads, but yet they have the same number of employees, to me, I kind of need to know why. But at that same point, I'm nitpicking because you do that for a reason, obviously. So you're just going to tell me the reason and I'm going to go, oh, okay. But at least I'm knowledgeable on it. Because right now, it just seems to me that side of the county is 8 billion acres of road compared to little bitty Glenwood. And if Glenwood's got more people than they do, it kind of makes me wonder why.
Yeah, Glenwood does not have more people. There are actually more people on the east side than there are on the west side. You are right. There is per mile, the least amount of people are in the Bickleton area. Keeping in mind, the population per mile is a lot less also.
Right.
So typically, until you get a fire event or some event, there's less people on the roads in the Bickleton area than there is in the Goldendale area.
I know you don't have enough people to grade the boulders out of my road, so I understand. I'm aware.
Well, our county's changed, you know.
It has.
I think we need to look at it because we've had population move in, and when you live a long ways out, you travel.
Yes.
I have
you
to have my
do.
road graded because I'm in and out all the time and put abuse on it and get in trouble for driving too fast.
Uh-oh.
Blowing the gravel off the road. See, there's the
Yep.
culprit right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll have to have a
We'll have a
larger
discussion. We are putting together stuff, Seth and I, for the discussion during budget, so we could crack this nut open again and really get down into where we stand.
Education will be good, yeah.
It's, things have changed from what it used to be.
Yeah.
Both of you are correct. And be honest with you, our maintenance budget is the same. It's been since 2014.
Uh-oh.
So.
Okay.
Anyway, let's not, we don't want to end on
We'll
doom
talk
and
about the
gloom.
budget. Yes.
Yes.
Do you know of any org chart box reductions out there in the last, say, 3 years in Bickleton area? Because I was hearing rumors that there's less employees, that the Board of Commissioners fired people in Bickleton and there's less road workers out there. And so I was hoping that you'd be willing
You guys
to
never fired
nip that
anybody.
in the bud.
No, you guys never.
Same number of org chart boxes as there's always
Same
been.
number of org chart.
Thank you.
We haven't not necessarily been able to fill those
Correct.
positions. That's where the hiccup is. It isn't that we've reduced staff out there. We have not reduced staff anywhere as far as the maintenance.
Well,
tech
you know
stuff.
about the rumor mill, so that was
I
one of the
know.
rumors of the rumor mill. So,
But we have reduced, I mean, just because we haven't found people. So yeah, we are down. I mean, we were down on the west side, 5 people. We've hired 3. We actually hired more, but only 3.
we get to work and hire some people.
Well, you know, we're like 50%. We hire 4, 2 of them make it. Hire 2 more, 1 might make it for a month and somebody else. So it's kind of, that's just the way it is right now. You can look at all the adjacent counties. Yakima has, I don't know, 10, 15 positions open.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron. Aaron Quinn, Health Department. Good morning. Good to see you.
Oh, we got her in the morning and the afternoon.
Yeah, it's a 2 day.
That sounds like interesting scheduling for you. We should have put them back to back for you.
Yes, that would have been lovely, but this works too. So I'm gonna leave a lot of the behavioral health statistics stuff for this afternoon, just because otherwise I'm gonna say the same thing twice, unless you want to hear it twice.
No, thank you.
Okay, me neither. That's cool.
I'm interested, but once is good.
Yeah, okay. I will touch on some things, but I think the bigger update I want to give is with the Board of Health, so I'll leave that for that. So for public health, administrative, health wise, I just want to go over a few things. We're currently staffed at 14 FTE. We have 1 position that's open for a health educator, and we'll be interviewing for them next week. We just filled our admin 3 position in white salmon, so hopefully we're in a stable state for a while. I keep saying that, but it keeps changing. So anyway, we have about 6 people full-time in Goldendale, 8 in white salmon. And it's been really busy. I was looking at our gas bills. We got a lot of travel. There's a lot of people going back and forth. We've been doing a lot of outreach. They've been in Roosevelt, Bickleton, Glenwood, Appleton, Lyle, Dallasport. They're doing some outreach with the bookmobile, the nurses are right now. So there's just a lot of back and forth. So the public health department is now hosting a representative from the Veterans Administration. He's going to be in Goldendale once a month and white salmon once a month. And his role specifically is to connect with homeless veterans and then coordinate with our veterans service officers. It's 2 very different positions. So he's going to be sitting in our office once a month in each office. So we're helping him with that.
Is he going to be working with the Legions as well? Because the Legions can provide services that we can't provide and vice versa.
I'm assuming that he's gonna connect
You're
with
on
all
that
those
board, you would know,
resources.
so I'm just gonna shut
I'm
up
actually
over
not
here.
on that board, but
Well, you were.
no, I resigned. Anyway, so he's from the veterans. He's trying to get the homeless folks in with services. So part of his role is to connect with services within the community and then coordinate with our veteran service officers. So it's but it's not very often we get a representative from the Portland VA that comes out here and can help people get enrolled in those services. So I think it's going to be a good.
Well, that's kind of my worry, is because I might be under the wrong impression, but I've always kind of understood RVA person as more of a working with the Freds, trying to get restitution for Agent Orange and that kind of thing, but not really so much as putting people in hotels and buying their gas and that kind of thing. So I want to make sure that we're actually this. I can't imagine he's not, but this person should know where all of the resources are based on his clientele, because I don't want that falling through the cracks. So
that's why he's sitting with us, so that we can share resources. Initially, we had talked about having him, part of his community engagement is actually more behavioral health focused, but we put him in the public health office because it's next door to the VSO.
Pete, you're a veteran. You got it handled.
Yep. So
I have full confidence you'll get it done.
Yep. So they're working together. He's learning our community. He's learning our resources. He has resources I didn't even know about. So it's been a good conversation for us. I think at some point we might find him a different space to work out of, but for right now, everybody's getting used to each other. It's working out just fine.
How did you find the office space? That's the next question.
I have an office in Goldendale that is like a travel.
Oh, it's up here?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
I
he's in
thought-
Goldendale and White Salmon. So like we usually have an office that when you're traveling, that's what
Oh.
everybody uses, the travel office. So we just booked it. He hasn't been to White Salmon yet. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going to put him, but I'll figure it out. We've got space there too. So we did complete our budgets for both departments. I was really the process this year was really helpful in us doing some strategic planning for behavioral health. It just really lined out everything. It was super efficient. We were super happy to get that all done. So that's all taken care of. I did just want to, on a budget notes, remind everybody that we have $200,000 for continuing education and training. So you see a lot of travel authorizations and whatever. So we're trying to get as many people in for training this year as we can to make sure we maximize that budget. At the same time, you'll see probably in the next 2 weeks, we are returning $800,000 of funds to the state that were not spent over the last 2 years. So that's kind of a hard hit, but I know it's embarrassing, but you need to know.
Can you give it back to us 2 years from now on that?
I would like to very much so. So we're working on not accepting the funds so that we don't have to return the funds, but they do give us money that in quantities for some projects that we will likely never use in this county. It's just not, I mean, I think they gave us $100,000 a year for community health assessment. We do it with other community partners. We do it every 3 years. It costs us, I don't know, $5,000. So like we'll always have to return that money. So anyway, just so you know, that's a big hit. You'll see it on your desk. It's coming.
Is the $500 or $5,000 you take out it worth having to deal with the grant and send the money back?
No, but I mean, it's just, we can use other places to pay for it. So it doesn't really have any impact whatsoever. So one of our workforce development grants is actually will allow for us to buy some new desks. So we're going to order some new ergonomic stand-up desks in White Salmon. Goldendale has them and White Salmon doesn't. So we're going to update those. You might see that bill come through on your thing as well. I did say that one. I did email Nicole Peppers from SWAT. She's interested in coming to speak with you about the opioid funds. So I saw that she emailed, so that should be taken
we
care
were
of.
kind of talking and I asked her to please come forth and bring her ideas and see if we can hammer something out.
I would strongly support her managing those funds for this county. I think we have a good working relationship. They've done it for other counties. They have the experience and the knowledge and resources to make good things happen. So anyway, we do have quite a few contracts that'll probably be coming up in the next couple of weeks. One of them you're going to see is a mutual aid agreement with Benton Franklin, Yakima, Walla Walla. It's a public health mutual aid agreement for public health emergencies. We've had this contract since 2003. So this is just the renewal and it extends it. I think it's a 4-year contract. So it'll extend it to 2029. It's not anything new or different. I think they updated the contact information. So that shall come through. There is another data sharing agreement that you'll see that allows us access to the foodborne illness notification system. It's a database through the state. Access to baby and child dentistry contract increases for our next 2-year funding cycle is coming in the next couple of weeks. And then for behavioral health, the Carolina Amendment is out and should be here in the next week or two. So that should show up on your desk as well. So those are the pending contracts we have. For clinical health, I talked about the outreach. They're going out with the bookmobile. That's been really well received. They're getting a lot of contacts and providing education. They have their little table that they set up right next to the bookmobile and visit with people about services we offer. The nurses have supported the back to school bashes on both ends of the county, that, coming in, setting up a little table and talking with families about the shots that they might need to have or any other health concerns. We did have a nurse. Oh, I'm sorry. We do have 2 positions open. We did have a nurse in White Salmon resign. And so we're going to have someone cover that spot, but we are going to advertise for that spot. I don't know if HR talked to you about that or not yet, but they did. Okay. So we'll be advertising for a nurse there. For environmental health, the mosquito trapping, we finished that up for the year. Through the public health emergency, we were able to get some HEPA air filters for wildfire smoke. We got 24 a couple weeks ago. They're already all gone. We gave 6 to Wagap. 6 came up to Goldendale, and I couldn't track down the numbers, but I'm pretty sure a couple of those went out to Bickleton. At least half of them went out to Bickleton, and then 12 of them went out to Trout Lake. So we have gotten 12 air filters and then approximately 600 masks distributed for work crews up in the Trout Lake area for the Williams mine fire. And then the environmental health staff have been just phenomenal about being accommodating to do the water samples for the water tankers for the firefighters that are using to refill their water. So getting all of that taken care of. They did work with ecology when they came to visit for the landfill, and then we're ultimately working with Rob and Joe on that and waiting for their letter of findings before we do too much about that. So questions about any of that for public health?
Education question. Do you have to test the water that the water tenders you're holding?
No, it's the water for like when you're filling your water bottle, because they have big water trucks to like fill up your water bottle, cooking, that sort of thing. Okay, we test the water for that.
Got
it. Anyway, no questions for public health?
No, thank you for everything. You're very busy. Mr. Anderson?
No questions here. Thank you.
Good.
You do a great job.
For behavioral health, we have currently 3 full-time staff and 3 contractors, and then the 1 consultant. So one of our biggest challenges right now is that our internet continues to be a pretty big problem. It's a barrier to services at this point. It's dropping phone calls, it's dropping meetings. I'm obviously more concerned about the dropping phone calls. If clients are calling in, their calls are getting dropped and we don't always know. I mean, eventually we can get the service back and call them back if they answer. So that's been a challenge. We are working with Public Works. We think we might have a solution in restringing the fiber, but that's still going to take some time. So that's just still a problem and a barrier for us. So there is that. Our behavioral health manager resigned. Lacey Villamar, who's a contractor, will be supporting that role. So you might have seen her contract amendment on your desk this morning. So that will allow her to step immediately into that. She already has stepped immediately into that role. And then we're going to sit down and look at our org chart and decide how moving forward we want to kind of get this organized and go forward. Ultimately, we will advertise that position, but for now, she's just going to take that role and take care of the things that needs to get taken care of for us. We do have a crisis case manager that's going to start on September 5th. We did lose one of our DCRs this month. Leslie Moorhead left. So that leaves us a little bit short of DCRs. So we're still advertising for that, but just not getting a lot of applicants. We're also advertising for our substance use disorder peer counselor. The one thing that I do need from the board, and I was hoping to have it done today, but I got behind, so this is a me problem, but we have to have a fee schedule approved before we can charge clients. So I got that to the PA late. So when they get that back to me, I'll send that through via resolution. I just need approval of the fee schedule. We based it on the maximum Medicaid reimbursements from the state, and I'll include the reference material with that because it's just, I mean, we're operating just, steady state. We're not the for-profit. So we just did the maximum that Medicaid allows. We are still having some challenges with our managed care organizations with the contractual, getting our contracts negotiated. So we're still working on that. Otherwise, I think I'll probably talk about the rest of it this afternoon. Any questions?
I do have one that's not really pertinent. You were hoping 6 months or so, a year ago, that you would get more clinical time yourself to be able to see people. Have you managed to do any of that? How is your personal
I have
health
managed to
and
do that.
happiness going? That's far more important to me. Otherwise, you're not sitting there a year from now.
I mean,
You've gotten more, you.
I think I'm fine,
Okay.
but thank you for asking. Yeah, I'm sure you're aware that I have most weeks been going over to the jail and working with the inmate population, and that's kind of my clinical.
That's what you're getting for clinic.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, I'm not diagnosing, treating, or anything like that, but just having conversations about health. So, and encouraging them to seek care when it's appropriate is kind of my, so. Any other questions?
I have nothing.
No. Mr. Anderson? Okay, he might be frozen.
Okay.
He's probably fishing.
In 2 ways.
Thank you.
He's
Bye.
got the picture up.
No questions here.
There, and he's
Okay,
turned
thank
around
you, Jake.
backwards with a fishing pole out.
Oh, great. So we're just a few minutes early, I believe, for 11:15. Okay. Okay, so we're got lots of time.
After there.
Okay. Anything? I think Mr. Anderson just jumped off. No. He's still there. Okay. So anything in the afternoon we can move up that we can handle? I don't see anything. Yeah, we need to leave that on time.
This is becoming a habit.
I can use the work time, which is good. We're efficient. Mhm. Okay. If you have nothing, we may as well move till afternoon session.
I will make a motion that we go to lunch at 10:41.
Mr. Anderson, are you still
I'll
there?
second the motion.
Was that a second?
Yes.
I think it was. So motion and a second, any discussion? And we will be returning at 1 o'clock as usual. We'll go get some other things done since our schedule changed. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 See you at 1 o'clock.
Commissioner Anderson is here.
Oh, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Klickitat County afternoon session for county commissioners. All 3 commissioners are present with Mr. Anderson on Zoom. So we will start the meeting with a public hearing, public meeting bid opening to consider the supplemental budget and amendments. Is that you, Jen? Does not have your name on there, so.
I am the public hearing. Nobody agrees.
You say you're not buying something that needs a bid opening, are you?
No. Okay, so I believe that you have the procedural sequence and everybody has seen the supplemental packet. So today we're just holding the public hearing to take written or public comment regarding the 24-2 supplemental budget adjustments. And I believe that's about it. The sum total of the request is 11 requests. 3 are deemed budget neutral. And then 4 requests involved technical adjustments, and 4 require budget intervention for a total of $998,184. And I did speak with the clerk of the board this morning and verified that there has been no written comment that has been received.
So we are taking public comment. Okay, public testimony. Great. We'll take public testimony about the supplemental budget. If anybody in the room would like to speak or online, raise your hand. If someone online has comments on Zoom, please raise your hand so we can recognize you. It's been a very quiet day today.
We don't usually get much.
I think we had one once.
Really? So it looks like, well, we'll ask one more time for public comment since Mr. Smith just came back in the room about the supplemental budget. Nothing for you this afternoon. One more time on Zoom, and we'll go ahead and close it to public testimony. And there's no written testimony, so. Yeah. Okay. So we'll close it to public comment then.
Okay.
We're not there yet in the hearing procedure.
Where'd you go?
It's in the packet. You just got to read the packet.
You have the packet? Oh, Dan
Or
has
do you
the
need mine?
packet.
Well, no, the packet's online.
Oh, no, I don't use online. I use the one in session. Thank you.
The board can request clarification or any statements or ask questions of staff.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
I do.
Go ahead.
It's to be there. What is you mentioned now some of it is budget neutral, grants in, grants out, blah, blah, blah. What is the bottom dollar impact? More than what was budgeted? How much more money is needed? Is that the 148,000 number?
The budget adjustments that require the board to step in, that's 147,212.
So even though the number is 900-ish, a lot of that is grant in, grant out.
As well.
Math fixing.
Technical
Reality, we're
accounting.
talking about 147,000.
Yes.
Okay, just wanted that clarification out there. And that's all I have.
Mr. Anderson, do you have any questions?
No questions here.
Great, and I have none, Jen. We're good. And is there any further public comment? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing to further testimony. I believe that's Mr. Anderson. Any more discussion by the board?
Do not have any?
I would just say that Jim does a great job with this. The amount of time that goes into it, and then to have no public comment is just sad.
I'm okay. Thank you.
Jen's probably okay, but I think that's something that all three of us could agree on. That not having public actually looking at this is sad.
Well, I hope that public sees it and it's
think so, too.
explained enough that they don't need to
I
ask
think
her.
that's true. Yeah, the product you created is a lot of help in the last year. So we will close the public hearing and I'll ask for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the supplemental budget amendment for the 2024 budget for various funds.
I will second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I'll also add a chastising for anybody that has budget control out there to be very careful with your budget allotment that you currently have going forward.
So motion passes and we're closed, and thank you so much.
Because you might not always get a yes.
Okay.
Not you. Have you ever asked for supplemental?
Mr. Van Cleve, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So I'm here for the weekly jail update. And as I started last week, it's okay. I'm just going to focus on things that have changed or been added since last week. So the final resolution that will need to be approved to actually transfer the jail, the final draft is done. I got a lot of input from the treasurer and the auditor and Jen on anything in the resolution having to do with budget or funds or grants or that are vehicles and those kind of things. So that was the last piece. So the only thing left to do is select the date for the transfer. So that document is ready to go whenever. Couple things that we've added into last week. I added a number of items that will be in the resolution because I hadn't actually called those out in the past. Two new ones in the resolution will be the AmeriCorps grant, that any remaining funds in the AmeriCorps grant will move to the Department of Corrections, and the Reentry Demonstration Initiative grant that was applied for.
They're having a square dancing class up there.
I think they're in the second stage of submitting that grant. So odds are if we're awarded that grant, it would be most likely after the transfer. And so it's covered in the resolution as well. Should that be approved and those funds be available. I met with the union rep, I think it was last week, on some other issues and brought him up to speed and make sure that he was current with what we're working on and where we're at in the process. And he'll be sure to share that with the rest of the bargaining team. So I've tried to keep the union rep as well as the union bargaining team updated on the process, which now includes multiple things for bargaining. Background investigation, I had a chance to sit down with the police chief from Benjamin White Salmon, and they're going to share who they use for background checks, psych evals, and that kind of information I've already got from Goldendale. So when we actually hire a jail administrator and or that person starts filling positions in the jail, we'll have to have this already up and running so we can do the background checks. So I appreciate Goldendale providing that, and I appreciate Chief Hepner's time the other day to educate me on some of that stuff. Fuel cards for the Department of Corrections vehicles, which is standing somewhere between 2 and 3. We're trying to determine that. I had initially applied for this, may not make a lot of sense, but the WEX account is a fuel card. I think it's a commercial fuel card. And the one that the sheriff uses was good at Chevron and Pacific Pride. The state has a WEX account and it covers dozens of different gas companies, almost anybody you can imagine. So I talked to the auditor, and she agreed that we should hold off and then we'll set up a county WEX account through the state and use that for Department of Corrections, and then potentially other departments or offices that need that kind of card. So the master account would be set up through the auditor's office. So we're going to hold off on that because the Department of Corrections will have its own credit card. They've already applied for that. And so they'll be able to buy fuel and stuff like that. As well as I think there should be discussion at some point that the Department of Corrections be required to use the county fuel system as one of its options, not its only option, but as one of its options. So there'd be another way they could get gas while we determine these other fuel cards. We need a new terminal agency coordinator. And I know dispatch has one, PA's office has one, designated person, Sheriff's Department has one, and we need one in Department of Corrections.
What is this?
I knew you were going to ask me. Access gives them access to it's called Access. And I think that's where they they get the information in the state criminal system, as far as I can tell, and maybe FBI and other agencies. I'm not sure the extent of it, but it's the system they use when that they can share information between the city police have it as well. And
Maybe you're saying we need a new system administration
well, it's an
coordinator.
assignment.
This isn't an
No.
org chart job. This is
No,
an
no, no,
assignment
no,
somebody's
no,
gonna get.
right.
Okay,
It's
clarification.
it's an assignment. We have to designate somebody. It can be anybody. They have to be CJIS certified. The
Okay.
sheriff's office has one. We're gonna need one in Department of Corrections. So Randy has agreed to do that as the temporary for Department of Corrections so that we can proceed with the application. Because Randy is CJIS certified. And so, so Randy Christensen has agreed to temporarily let me
Do
put
that.
his name on the application so we can assign that. And it makes sense because he is CJIS certified. So, so we solved that short-term issue. So here's one. I so far been able to avoid spending any money in setting up this new department.
Congratulations.
But there's some things I think we're gonna have to move forward on. One is patches. The moment you transfer it, they're gonna, any patch that has sheriff's office, the one on their back, the one on the patch has to be removed. And so we need, it's, if I've got this information correct, we're learning lots of things. Each officer has at least 3 sets of, if not more, of uniforms, so we could begin the process of having the new patches put on while they're still wearing the current patches. So it seems like a minor thing, but actually it's not.
Order.
So I don't know if you want, how you want to design a new patch. This is the county logo, and some departments use their offices and they just take the bottom off and put, I mean, you could just do it and put Department of Corrections, DOC or something for now, as opposed to creating a whole new logo. I don't know how much work and time you want put into, this would just be the shoulder patch.
As long as it says DOC, where there's no reason to recreate the wheel and try to do a logo.
I guess I don't have a problem with DOC. I just don't think everybody's gonna understand an acronym.
Well, we can
So
spell
for
out
me, it
Department of
would be,
Corrections.
I wouldn't even go too many words, just Corrections Department would be good with me. But in all reality, I don't really care. I'm just throwing out an idea.
So if you're okay, what I thought I'd do is, I have the vendor for this now, reach out
Okay.
to him and say, hey, what will fit in that area? Because
That's kind of where I'm at. I don't want a teeny tiny print by putting Department, Klickitat County Department of Corrections, or too many words.
And then I
Short.
suspect on the back, it'll currently say sheriff, it covers the whole back. It'd probably just say corrections,
Mhm.
you know, but this one, I think is going to take more time than the other one is probably. So I will proceed with that and then come back to you and say it's going to cost X and move forward. So last week, I think I had 3 vendors that the sheriff's department uses. Now we're up to 20 vendors. I've got a list of the vendors. And so what I've done is went through all of the charges that were made this year since January for all of the vendors. And then I'm identifying the ones that I consider a priority. And I've worked with, had a couple discussions with the auditor. Some of these vendors are one-offs, one thing once in a while. Some of them are like uniforms. So they're tactical gear, boots, those kinds of things that I think we need to prioritize and get new accounts set up right away. The other ones, Amazon, Home Depot, those can be set up fairly quickly by the new jail administrator. So of these 20, I think there's 5 that we're gonna need to, you know, get new account numbers and get that account set up. So when we do the switch, we can right away start ordering stuff.
I would be curious what the vendors are that are the 5.
I'll send you the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of them are used by the patrol side too for uniforms and some of them are for food. And then there's inmate supplies, toothbrushes, toothpaste. I mean, it covers a wide gamut of.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess where I'm coming from is I'm fine with, you know, the laundry service and the food service and the toothbrush service. If we're talking about, you know, 511 tactical in order to buy pants or something, I don't know.
So what I thought I would do, and correct me if you want me to do something else, is there's going to be that transition point where one day it's the sheriff's department, the next day it's Department of Corrections, literally. And so in that time, we may have to replace a uniform on day 1 because the day before it got destroyed or something happened to it, it got tore. And so we're going to need some vendor. I think the new jail administrator working with the commissioners and the auditor can determine if we need different vendors, find a different place to order these. I'm just trying to minimize any lag in the transition should we need something the first day. So we're up and running the first day, but that can always change. We can pick any different vendors, but I'll send you the list. So mostly what I'm doing is gathering this information for the new jail administrator. I'm highly motivated to hand the list over to the new jail administrator with the account numbers and the phone numbers. But some of the stuff I think we have to do ahead of time, so the transition is as seamless as possible. So that's kind of where I'm at today. And I am the one to give the report, but I am not the only one working on this. Many people are helping me identify these things and the account numbers and all of that stuff. And one final thought, and I'll let the auditor at some point talk more about it. As we set up these new accounts, we're going to set them up through the auditor's office, meaning the invoices go to the auditor, much like the visa for those who have a visa in their department or their office, and then they push the bill out to the departments or the offices, as opposed to, because I'm finding in some of these cases we have 4, 5, 6 different accounts. But there should be a master account in some cases under the county, and then they can assign different numbers. So I think it's not often you get to set up a new department. I'm not speaking for Heather, but we've had a number of discussions. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you is that since it's a rare event to set up a new department with the new Kayenta upgrade that's in the works, this is a good time to do things different. And so I'm working with the auditors to do that differently than we've done in the past, just with that department, and then it may set the stage for other changes.
That sounds good.
So
sensible.
If that makes any sense. But okay, any questions?
No, thank you for being so detailed, because it will help in the end. Oh, Jake was garbling.
Yeah. Rob, where are we at on hiring? Have we got any applicants?
Yeah, yes, sir. We have 5 so far, and haven't got any in the last couple of days. We're halfway through, about 14 days into the process. And thank you for saying that, Commissioner. I was gonna bring up something I forgot to bring up. Next Tuesday, I'd like to have a discussion with the commissioners about the actual hiring process. Do you want a hiring panel? Who do you want on the panel? It's just the commissioners. You want the local police chief? Do you want state trooper? I mean, we can, all kinds of options. And so I'd like to talk about that process with you next week, and maybe start gathering questions from you that you'd like to ask the applicants, and actually build the process ahead of time. Because September 1st is the first review. So
We have 42 minutes to talk about it now.
42 minutes.
I don't know if you're
Till the public
ready.
hearing.
No, until the
Board of Health. So, I talked to Jose about this. By the way, he had volunteered to be on that panel if you wanted somebody with a corrections background. It's just an option. He said it's not uncommon to have somebody from the PA's office, have a state trooper, have a local police chief, have a jail commander from another jail, which in this case, he could serve at that, or any neighboring county, that you wanted to do that. So, or you could just do typically what you've done for department directors is the 3 of you, and then typically hire Casey sit in on those interviews as well. But so it's really how you want to proceed. I wouldn't have, not counting HR, I would probably not have more than 5. It get kind of complicated, but you have as many as you want, actually.
I'm in favor of the 3 of us. Jose is the expert, and then 1 local law enforcement, whether that's Goldendale or Bingen, I don't care either one. That would be my take.
I'm good with that. Jake, do you have any suggestions? Probably.
I'm in favor of Jose, and if we want to have a local law enforcement, one of the chiefs, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
What was the last part of that?
He's fine with local.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
Good.
Yeah, either one of them, I don't care,
Okay.
I would let them fight over it. I wouldn't pick one, because then the other one would get angry. But let them know they should negotiate and give you a name. That's how I would handle that.
And then how do you want to develop the list of questions?
I would ask that you commissioners send those to me. I think there's going to be a lot of questions.
Well, that's why I'm hoping Jose will be able to have
Yeah.
a sample.
I'm going to ask him, and I'm going to ask other folks that I know for the generic questions, but I think there's probably some specific questions that you're going to want to ask that maybe are more germane to our situation and things that we're dealing with. But I think there's probably very generic questions, and I'll try and gather those as well. So I'm going to leave Jose alone for a while, and he's got another job. But at some point, I will reach out to him and ask him for that information. And I know a couple of the jail commanders that I'll ask to. So see if we
I
can get
can't
some-
imagine we're gonna get too far outside of their question realm.
No, I don't think so.
You know, I don't know that we have specific. I don't know that I do anyway. I can't say we, I shouldn't say we. I was critiqued for saying we, so I apologize for saying we. I don't have a lot of specific other than nothing I can't just read from them answering the general question.
Okay, so I'll get working on that, get that part done too, and then hopefully we'll get more applications. We've got some good ones, but hopefully we'll get more, which is, it's not uncommon to get some towards the end for some reason of the initial posting period. But
So then I'm assuming we would look through the initial applications and decide whether there's anyone there that we want to interview. If there is, we'd do interviews. If there isn't, we would go back out to applications.
yeah, it's posted until filled, so we just leave them.
Okay.
But the ones I have now, if you want, I can send you those now as opposed to waiting to, in case we get a bunch more. I mean, do you want them as now, or do you want me to wait till we get a few more, or do you want to?
I'm fine with them all at the same time, so that way I can compare apples to apples and not what I remember from 2 weeks ago and have to go reread it.
Okay. But if other commissioners would like to see what we have now, I'm happy to do that.
I'll let you know.
And most of these people are still working, so we need to be very careful with with that. So, as always.
That was kind of one of the reasons why I said I can wait.
Anyway, I appreciate all the help I'm getting from a lot of people within the
been a
county,
lot.
within the county and outside of the county. So it's
I would hope that if you saw something in there that was like, oh my God, this is the unicorn, you would apply us pressure to look at them now. But with that, I will wait for your opinion.
yeah, I was going to give it the rest of this week. It's a pretty competitive market out there, so I don't want to hang on to one for a month and have them go somewhere
That's
else.
kind of where I'm saying. So if you find a unicorn, please let us know immediately.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't use up the whole. It's a rare event. I can't
It's
fill
okay.
42
Still
minutes
got
with.
36 minutes to talk.
That's okay.
Casey's
Yes,
back
he
there.
does.
We can give Casey the other 36 minutes.
Yeah, that's all.
That's
Firm
what you
no
get
right
for
there.
coming in here.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Well, then.
Mr. Anderson, we have about a half hour till Board of Health. Any updates from you on anything, or? Can't think of anything.
Nothing right now off the top of my head.
Okay. Easy.
I think they accidentally left the door, propped the door open on their way out.
Uh-oh.
With that, I would ask, what is our plan? Are we just gonna sit here quietly for 35 minutes and run the video, taking up storage, or are we gonna recess until 2 o'clock? What is the plan for the next
Yes,
35
thank you.
minutes?
I was just looking at my calendar to see if there's any other updates. It seems like I've been very busy.
It's a 5-member board of health that schedules for a certain time, so. Yeah, it's. Yeah.
Lori, I know the question came up this morning about the airport board being involved in the airport business development park conversation. Were you at the last couple of board meetings? And they're well aware of everything that's been going on. This is a 5-year process.
Yeah, and that's what I communicated to the person that asked the question and for the public, that it's been a long process. It's been well vetted. It's been through financial looks. It's been through the PA's office, I believe. So it isn't something that just popped up. It may be that they had just seen it for the first time, so wanted to know how many looks had actually gotten into it. It wasn't just something that was sliding by, but no, that's been pretty well worked to death. People
Just want it on the record since we're still recording.
Yep. So it's a lot like our processes on the airport board. The staff works on things that they're bringing forward, and then they bring it to the board to run it through the board. And then because the airport is co-owned by the county and the city, we ship those items off for the Board of County Commissioners, for the road department to look at. Planning Works looks at it, auditor looks at it, financials. PA takes a look at contracts, I'm sure. And the same happens over at the city with everything that goes on with it. It goes through their whole system, goes through the city administrator, through the city council, through the city attorney, through the city finance. Once city approves and agrees, and once we approve as a county and agree, then the airport can move forward. So it's a lengthy process.
Oh, I do have one kind of quick update. Y'all remember back at the demolition derby, there was people complaining of the audio quality of the sound system of the arena. Apparently there's 2 sound systems. One is in the Fair Board office that controls the grounds outside of the arena, and one is in the arena announcer's booth that controls the arena. And what they believe the problem was and why you couldn't hear has happened before, is that people forget to turn the amplifier on. So then it gets garbly and staticky. That it sounds like we don't really have a problem with our PA system. It's just somebody didn't have the buttons on correctly. So we're going to do a better job of educating people that rent the space on how to use the equipment. And so that was what was passed to me. So I thought I'd pass it on to you guys.
One thing we were talking earlier about the organization for the fires, and something that was interesting to me is, Trout Lake's quite a ways away. I think it's about a half-hour turnaround for the water planes that they're using. And the other day they actually had the big dippers, and they were trying to dip out of Columbia, but it was a weekend. And so we had all the windsurfers. So the sheriff's office was working with other agencies to actually go out and try to clear people and keep them out so that the planes could come in and out. And it was almost an impossible task. Once you instructed certain windsurfers or kite boarders, then you'd get a whole new group that didn't even know the planes were coming in. And I think the last 2 days they switched their route, and they've been dipping out of Swift Reservoir. Okay, good. And so for those that don't know, there's all kinds of places you can get information too. Where did you see that post, Leanne? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's a good one. So yeah, there's all kinds of InsaWeb and all different, the Columbia Gorge area fire pages. And now they have a Williams Mine Facebook page. So you can actually go to it and get sometimes when I go to the pages, I have to filter through all the different fires to try to find the one I'm looking for. So it's good to have just that one. Okay. And Leanne said it's listed on the Klickitat County 911 dispatch page to find contact with that page. So everybody's trying to share. Elise, is it easier for you to just leave things running? Does it take up space like Dan was saying, or do you want to take a recess and check out, check in? Okay. Okay, so we're going to take a recess. We start Department of Health at 2:00. And so we will come back in a little bit earlier, maybe 5 minutes earlier. We'll probably be off until 1:55. Then we'll come back in and let everybody back in on Zoom. And Jake, that'll give you a break for a little bit again, and we'll be back again at 1:55.
Are cameras gonna be live still or no? Is it all gonna shut down? I'm not imagining you're gonna kick everybody out, right? You're just gonna hit pause? Yep, yeah.
Oh, good.
So you might still seeing us sitting in the chair, but I can give you my word that I will not be talking about county business.
Good afternoon. We're going to come back in for the Klickitat County Commissioners meeting for August 13th from a recess. And then we're going to step down again and enter into the Board of Health. So what do we need to do? Is Jake with us?
Yep, I'm here.
Great. So we're back. So we're going to recess. Do you know for how long? Do we need half an hour? And we'll open back up as the Klickitat County Board of Health. Now, what do you need? What's he saying? He can't hear. It's muted. He's got the little red mute down there. Is that him or you? Okay. Try yours, Roger. We're all pointing at him. It's you. Technology. Yeah, go ahead and come up front. Yeah.
Kind of refuse to come up there and sit next to you.
She can, but I just didn't want her to have to sit up there until it was her turn. It's stressful sitting up there some days.
You're a loving crowd. What are you talking about?
Yes, that is the adjective I use a lot.
For you guys, we're loving.
Really just make sure that Dr. McCullough is on as well.
Do you see him? Are you there, Dr. McCullough?
Your system audio is muted. Barely hear you. Sorry.
Is that any better, Roger?
Go to green.
Is that better?
Tiny bit. I don't know why it went off when you came back.
Roger broke it. We're blaming it on Roger.
It's all my fault, of course. Blame the media. It
It's
works
my
all
fault.
the time.
It's my fault. Put it on me.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll just crank it, and at least I'm getting the recording here on the captions on the transcript. So
You're not hearing it any better now?
no.
Interesting.
Jake, are you with us? Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
Okay. Don't
We're
worry
just-
about me. I'll get it.
Okay, we're waiting for Dr. McCullough, correct? Okay. We're just a couple minutes early. Maybe he's going to slide into home plate. We started early. We had a little bit of time off, so
Yeah.
we'll give him time.
Yeah, he'll be here. Well, we told him 2:05, so it's fine.
Okay. Okay. So where would you like to begin?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Oh, so you're the chair for the.
Okay.
Yep.
You have to call it to order.
Oh, okay, great. So we will call to order for August 13, 2024, the Klickitat County Board of Health Where do we start? An update?
Do you have the agenda?
I don't. Don't suck all the air out of the room, Mr. Christopher. Thank you.
You have your computer in front of you. I don't understand why you don't have it.
Because I use the hard copies, Mr. Christopher. So I'll call for approval of the agenda. Do we hear a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Agenda approved. Adoption of the meeting minutes. Do we need a motion?
I would move that we adopt the meeting minutes from May 7th, 2024 as presented.
I second. Go ahead.
Second and third there.
Yeah. A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Motion passes. So we'll have an update from Health Officer Joel McCullough, and I don't know if he's on yet, Aaron.
Let's see, if he's not here, we can have Sean go first.
Sure.
I need to give a quick update.
We'll make it quick. That way you get up faster.
In and out.
So
I can
it's
see my next person at 2:30.
a WIC update from Sean Blankenship.
Yeah, so I'm Sean Blankenship. I have worked in Klickitat County for 18 years and am lucky enough now to be the WIC coordinator certifier for the program. I handed out little packets that shows you how many participants. This is our 2023 federal fiscal year for WIC. WIC started in 1972 as a pilot program when doctors were having concerns regarding malnutrition among low-income women and children. And they noticed that it wasn't medicine that they needed food. So it started as a prescription for food and iron fortified formulas. And then it was so successful for the health and well-being of these women and children that it was voted and passed in 1975 as a permanent program through the U.S. Agricultural Department. As you can see, in 2023, we had a total of 606 participants throughout the year. 423 were infants and children, and 183 are participating women. To be on WIC, you qualify through your family and income size. We serve approximately 40% of women and children, 40% of all children born in the United States are on WIC. And we serve them through a food program. It's a supplemental program. You can also see in your packets, it shows you what packages women get and children get throughout their time on WIC. We serve pregnant women, breastfeeding women for the first year while they're breastfeeding, and postpartum women up to 6 months if they are not breastfeeding. And then we see children up through their 5th birthday. We do appointments every 3 months. So it is part of the program is that you attend these appointments and receive some type of nutritional information, oral health, immunizations. We work closely with doctors and in case children need specialized formulas, anything like that. And then one of the great things about WIC is it not only helps the families regarding supplementation of food, is it also brings in a lot of revenue into our local grocery stores. As you can see, we brought in Klickitat County approximately $260,000 in revenue from families purchasing those WIC foods. And one of the great new benefits is the CVB, which is the cash value benefit for fresh produce. And it alone brought in, I did miss that right here, approximately 75,000 of that was just fresh produce, which because it's also evolving over time of what is healthy and what is needed for families. So WIC is continually adjusting their food program and what foods are necessary to keep women and children.
I will tell you that when I was a child, my mother was on WIC and I was very disappointed that I could not get Fruity Pebbles.
Yes.
I could only get cornflakes.
Yes.
Or oatmeal or whatnot. So there's probably some good in what they choose. That you're
And look
allowed
where
to
that
have
got
there.
you.
Fruity Pebbles though, come on now. There's some good stuff there. The only thing I don't see that I would, and I fully support obviously the program, is 606 total participants. I would love to know that breakdown by commissioner district, or so that we can see a range in the county where we're seeing more need than maybe other need, that might help this board or future boards direct help.
I definitely can pull that information.
Your next update.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, bring that in.
Yeah.
Because that hopefully educates a board on what communities are in more need than other communities.
Mm-hmm. And it is a struggle. And one thing WIC has done, obviously since COVID, we've learned a lot of how to do services when we can't see people in person. And with our county being so rural and families living out in Trout Lake, Glenwood, Roosevelt, I can do a lot of my appointments over the phone. We do like to see them in person because we do get heights, weights, and we check their iron levels once a year, and kind of just watch those values. And it's nice to be able to follow a full growth graph, right? Because it's hard to judge a child's growth just on other children. It's nice to watch their growth pattern and what's healthy for them. So that is one thing we do and are working on much harder this next year. Our goal is to start seeing and encouraging more in-person appointments at least once a year.
I'm wondering if if access is an issue, and I love that you brought that up about looking at where these numbers lie, because that can also indicate where access.
Transportation.
Yeah. Yes, and that's what. Transportation. Is one of my biggest goals. Is making families feel comfortable to talk to me. I mean, I talk to moms about anything that is happening in their lives right now. It might be potty training. They might be struggling with a child hitting. And then also we work with them on these issues like transportation, healthy housing for their family. And then we work with WAGAP and Mount Adams Transportation. They can get vouchers through DSHS for gas vouchers, things like that to attend appointments. So we definitely work with them with that as well. Is there any other questions about WIC that you might have today?
Good program.
Yeah, I told the last WIC coordinator that I just hung out and worked in public health until she retired. So I could get in help in this program, because it's been, I've got to watch now. I started as a WIC aged mom and now I am WIC grandma age. So it's been quite the progression to watch throughout our county over the years. Yeah, it's a wonderful program.
But thanks to WIC, I know what a lentil is, and I hope I never eat another one.
I work on finding very healthy, fun recipes as well.
Yeah, no, good information. Like I said, the one point of see if you could break it down a little bit more, but other than that, good. And you have my support, obviously.
See, you didn't have to be terrified. It was very easy.
Well, it's a wonderful program, so it's hard for
it is
not one that.
Well, I would say there are people that are against the food stamp program, but if they actually knew the WIC program, they wouldn't be opposed to it.
Yes, yes. So we definitely, continually work with families on so many other things.
These aren't the same people that are buying 5 Monster Energy drinks and 12 packs of Skittles on the food stamp card. This is all healthy, good. Yeah.
And and a lot of support for them also throughout their childhood. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And Dr. McCullough is here, I believe. Is he with us? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. Today I'd like to provide a brief update on where we stand with COVID. You've likely heard that there's been a increased number of cases of COVID this summer. And so that has happened here in the US and internationally. The data shows that since June, we've seen an uptick in the trend in the number of COVID cases. And the uptick is measured by increased number of COVID positive tests, increased number of emergency room visits and hospitalization.
Uh-oh.
And this is not only happening nationally, but it's also happening in Washington State as well. So despite the number of increased COVID cases that we're seeing, it hasn't really impacted the health system, our healthcare system much. So the ED visits and the hospitalizations remain low despite the increasing number of COVID cases. Also, looking at the data, the number of cases have not peaked yet, so the number of cases are increasing. But we will continue to monitor the cases to see if they have any other impact. We don't know when the peak will occur, but some experts anticipate that COVID will peak in the next few weeks. On the vaccine front, an updated COVID-19 vaccine is under development, and it should be approved by the CDC and available by the fall. So that's my quick update on COVID. Any questions?
I have one that you may not have an answer to. COVID caused a problem in Washington State with a shortfall of nursing staff. Have the hospitals recovered their nursing staff? Are they anywhere close to full capacity of nursing staff? Or do you know, is there still a shortage of nursing staff, or what can you tell me on that?
I don't know for sure, but just in general terms, I think there's a shortage of nurses nationally, and I would think that would be the case here in Washington State. But I don't have specific numbers, but there is a nursing shortage, and that continues nationally.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And Dr. McCall, I had a question. So currently there is no distribution of where the cases are in the state of Washington. Is that correct? For instance, more in Klickitat County than Yakima, for example.
The Department of Health has a respiratory health dashboard.
Right.
And in the dashboard, the COVID cases, the flu cases, and RSV cases are grouped by accountable communities of health area. So there are, I think there are 8 accountable. Yep. And so our area can be seen by looking at the data tracker on the Department of Health website. So so it is divided up that way. And if we want more specific information, we can request county level data as well. But generally, the county level data would be it's kind of hard to calculate rates at the county level for many counties because the numbers are so low.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Just for I have one more question. Your last update, your last meeting was talking about avian flu. I don't hear that anymore. Is it kind of subsiding then? Is that why I'm not hearing anything more about it, or is it expanding, or do you know?
No, it's still going on. There have been more human cases since I talked about it last time, but only a handful of new cases. Okay. But more dairy herds are being infected, so it hasn't slowed down. It continues, but it's not as big of an issue now. But they are refining some of the monitoring techniques to detect the bird flu in cattle and humans better. But it's still out there.
Yes, thank you.
Still evolving.
Sure.
I think it will always be evolving until it becomes a problem. When that is, whether it's 20 years from now, we'll eventually have a problem with it.
So my question would be, why is it not as emergent if it's still happening, if it's still progressing?
Rate of growth, I think, I guess.
Was the question, why isn't it still urgent?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a priority. It's still a priority. So the CDC and the Agriculture Department and others are still working on it a lot. I think one of the main dangers is that this particular variant might mutate and make it more transmissible between humans. Right now, that's not the case. So all of the cases have been workers who've had close contact with infected birds or infected dairy cows. And so there is work going on, but it's, like I said, the number of human cases are not exploding. It's one here, two there, have been less than 10 human cases that have been identified in the U.S. so far. But it's just not as, it's not just as new as it was before, I'd say.
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome.
Anything else?
I don't have anything else for Mr. McCullough.
Mr. Anderson? Okay. I don't think Jake has anything. Go ahead. Oh, you said. Did you have any questions of Dr. McCullough, Jake?
No questions here. Thank you, doctor.
You're welcome.
And then I am going to do the behavioral health update. So I just want to remind the board that the behavioral health department does not, in fact, answer to the Board of Health, but that we determined it was important for the Board of Health to hear the progress on the behavioral health department. So just we are two different entities, even though it's confusing because I have both of them. So currently in behavioral health, we have 3 full-time staff. We have 3 contractors and 1 consultant. Currently, we're offering crisis services 24/7. We respond to the hospital, we respond to schools, and we respond to the jail. We don't respond outside of those areas. Eventually, there will be a time when we have mobile crisis teams that can respond into the community, but until we have, frankly, more funding, we won't be putting those teams together, and we'll just respond as individuals out to the to those 3 locations, the jail, the hospital, and the schools. We are still working towards outpatient services. We started with our substance use disorder outpatient services. The 1st of July, we started taking referrals only from adult probation, just to work through our process and with our EHR to determine how that was going to go. So that's going really well. So they've added the Department of Corrections as the next. So we're now accepting their referrals as well. They've taken 5 referrals to date. 3 of them have been seen and 2 are scheduled, I believe, either this week or next week. So we're able to get people in pretty quick, and those are moving forward, and it's been really successful. Definitely finding some hiccups in the process of starting something new, but are able to work through those pretty quickly. So that's been
What is their purpose? To just show the people what programs are available?
The substance.
Yeah. What are they doing? Are they providing a different service than what the other ABC groups are doing, or are they?
So there's only,
Focusing
so
people
KBH has
to-
an SUD, and actually I'm going to ask Sunday to bail me out on this one. Would you like to tell us what an SUD does?
Many different things. Currently, Klickitat Valley Health only has a medically assisted treatment. There's different terms now. I'm not saying that correct, and I'll own that right now. So they provide medically assisted programs, but they're not providing treatment services. SUDs can function at many different levels: inpatient, outpatient, and right now it sounds like what this SUD program is doing is just managing really crisis care, and then is starting to maybe do some outpatient care, and then they're also being going into the jails and providing interim services. Is that
Yeah. So they'll provide counseling around their substance use disorder. They do a lot of groups in the jail.
Right.
But they're letting them know what other services are out there with the other.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we might call WAGAP, or I know they work really closely with Recovery Cafe and Father's House.
Good.
And they do work closely with KBH. So
yes.
So they'll do for the, thank you, Sunday. They'll do, when they do the referrals, they'll do, so if somebody's had, maybe a DUI, they'll do an alcohol assessment with them, and talk with them about what their options are. We don't offer any testing right now, but that's something they're working through, so.
And then Recovery Cafe, they're a resource to get people into inpatient treatment and provide some recovery support from there. But currently, there's not a treatment program functioning in this county.
There is
Treatment program, like an AA kind of a thing, or?
There is AA and there is NA, but not an outpatient treatment program where people can go receive treatment services on an outpatient level. So you got inpatient.
Which is like a rehab.
Right, that's
Hospital.
a
Okay.
30, 60, 90-day
Right.
inpatient care. But there's no outpatient services currently in our county to treat those who have gone to inpatient or are in need of a less level of care. So there's a gap.
Interesting.
Yes, anyway, so we're working on that, but we are
A place
definitely.
for
outpatient.
opioid funds, it sounds like.
Probably. We'll work on that too. Part of why we haven't really pushed forward on the outpatient services still continues to be the fact that we are fully funded for crisis, but don't have, we do have some funds from the Community Health Plan of Washington, but our contracts with the other 3 managed care organizations are still pending. And so until we get the funding from those organizations, I can't afford, after doing the budget process, which was amazing, I can't afford to hire employees without that funding. So that actually really helped highlight all that for us so that everybody could kind of see how much a person costs and how much we need to have in our bank account before we can take someone else on. So we have that, our behavioral health manager resigned. So Lacey Villamar is stepping into that role for now and, will help us kind of regroup and reorganize. And then otherwise it's been just kind of business as usual. We do have a new crisis case manager starting September 5th. Another part of the outpatient that's been a little bit, that's kind of been a barrier is us getting our new electronic medical record. We're going to meet with them on Thursday and kind of get that process reinvigorated and taken care of. So you may see a contract for that in the next month or so. And then I guess just I just want to make sure the behavioral health is continuing to provide both mental health and substance use groups in the jail. The substance use groups in the fiscal year 23-24 held 52 different groups, and the mental health services offered 42 different group sessions within the jail. So and then when I'm there Tuesday, I always ask people if I can connect them with either our substance use person or our mental health person. And so having referrals that way from individual clients has been helped. I think with the engagement from behavioral health, and then also with the attendance at groups. So, and the groups are being received really well. I got really good feedback from the participants. So. Okay. Any questions about any of
Mr. Anderson, do you have any questions? We have lost him.
Okay. All right, so I think we just have public access if anyone had comments.
I have a question on something else. It's not behavioral health. You were going to bring back ideas on if the board wanted to subsidize farmers market registration costs. Do you have that information, or you still need time on
I'm
that?
still working on it.
Okay.
It just didn't quite happen this week.
I have a couple people asking that I said I wouldn't know more today, so I figured I'd ask that question.
Yep, nope, I apologize.
And I will tell them I will know more another day.
Yep, you will.
Thank you. Any public questions or comments online? If you have a question for the Board of Health, please raise your hand. Nope, it's been a very quiet day. Vote. Well, good update.
Okay.
And if that is it, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn the Board of Health meeting and reopen the Board of Commissioner meeting.
Mr. Anderson, are you there to second?
Second.
Thank you.
See, that's why we brought her in.
Got this.
All seconds, but occasionally just doesn't second.
So
Let Sunday get
motion
involved.
and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, I don't often speak for the three of us, but on this one, they can correct me if I'm wrong. I appreciate both of your volunteering on this.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We hear it everywhere. It's hard to find workers and volunteers. Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you. So we will reopen as the Board of County Commissioners now and finish out our session. This has been a strange up down day. And I don't think we have anything else on our agenda, do we? Nothing else from the commissioners? I would entertain a motion to adjourn, but all three commissioners will be participating in the KLCK radio interview at 8:05 on August 15, 2024.
If they remember. It's always one that's hard for them to remember, but yep, I would make a motion to adjourn the regular meeting. You've already made the note.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.